Hi, I'm Chuck Dorsett for Weaver Leathercraft. Chapter 7 of Making a Leather Gun Holster. Could not be happier with the outcome. Our dye is rich, deep, and beautiful, and our fit, spot on, just what we want. All right, Chapter 7. It's going to be a little tedious to start with because we're going to pop out our stitch line. Now, a couple of points here. First off, you don't have to pop out a stitch line. If you're dyeing black, go with black thread, brown, brown. But to me, I just love the look of that crisp white stitch line. To me, very clean, very tight. But at the same time, hand sewn, I want that prominent. But one more point there, and I won't roll here, but we've got 6 colors of thread. Any one of those colors would make a gorgeous detail. All right, but another big point, we've already sewn this. So when we pop out our stitch line, those needles are going to slide right through. It's going to be quick and easy. Now, anything I use in this video, weaverleathercraft.com, or check below. We have links there. Going to take you straight to the website. So let's step over here, pop out a stitch line. Now, when we pop our stitch line, what we don't want to do is separate this edge. So it's going to be a little bit more difficult. But if we pop this apart and cut our stitches as we go, this is never going to come back together like it is now. So what I want to do is start right down here where my knot is. Now, with a craft knife, notice I've got this one marked. This is no longer sharp. I've probably broken the point off or dinged it, so I don't have a real sharp point. There, I don't really need it for this. So what I'm going to do is going to drop my knife right in there, and I can see that knot. Let's just cut that knot open. There we go. Now, a little bit of a trick here. With the dull point, I'm simply going to drop that in, and I'm going to lift that wax thread out. Now, the wax thread, it's nice and thick, so I don't really have to worry about trying to get into the leather. I'm just going to stick this right into the middle of that, and it comes out easily. So what I'm going to do is both sides, I'm going to work both sides all the way down to the other end. Now, one thing I need to be careful of, let's try not to push too hard because I don't want my knife to go up across the face of my leather. There we go. Okay, now, as we move along, now that I've got a couple of threads behind us, you'll notice we've got a little naked leather under there. It's not going to be an issue. Our thread will cover that. But also, too, with our craft knife, what I can do is once I get that thread pulled out a little bit, I can take an awl and use that to pull the rest out. It makes it a little easier than trying to pull that out with my craft knife. And now we're down to our last stitch. There we go. That one comes out easily. Pull that through. All right, very good. No markings. In fact, maybe a little ding here and there, but certainly less than a sewing machine would do. All right, so let's step over to our sewing horse and knock in that bright white stitch. Now our holes are pre-punched. We've actually had thread and needles through these, but still we've added dye. So it's going to be a little bit tougher to get a needle through there. We can open it up. But the point I'm getting at there is let's do this. Let's just go one needle at a time. Now, let's back up. Let's don't get confused there. Saddler's stitch, first hole, one needle. Equalize that out. Second hole, both needles. But again, I can probably get both needles through there, but I'm kind of having really to push on that. So let's make this a little easier on our hands. Now, add equal tension there. Let's make this easier on our hands. So what I'm going to do is run one needle through, right or left, matters not, and then let's pull that back, run the other needle through there. We've taken the time on the, to cut out our stitch line, so therefore a little extra time here not going to matter. All right, let's pull that in, equal tension. All right, so just like the last time, I'm going to sew down to my end here. We'll drop in a knot, then we'll sew our throat and bottom. All right, there we go, down to the end now, same as before. Last time we dropped our knot in between our face and our welt. So our front needle, we're just going to come through the face. There we are, slide through there. And then from our welt side, we're going to go through the back and the welt and then squeeze that out through the front. There we go. All right, so same as last time. Let's tie our square knot, and we're really going to sink this down in there this time. So, there we go, right over left, circle around, drop that down in there hard and tight. Good. All right, left over right, circle around, same thing. Good and tight down in there. Now, we've got a little gap here, but what we're going to do is on this side, we're going to sew around, drop our knot from this side in that same place. When we hammer that down, that'll flatten out. That wax thread will compress. All right, with this, let's take our knife. Now, what I want to do here, I don't want to cut into the thread. All I'm going to do is lift the thread over the blade. There we go. So I'm not cutting leather. All right, set up with another piece of thread ready to go. Now on this side, I'm going to come through, like I said, from the welt. In fact, let's take a look at that. There we go. I'm coming through the welt on that last hole, but I'm going to come inside the welt. So we're not missing a stitch. That's what I'm trying to get at. All right, so let's drop this back in our horse. Now, we haven't sewn these holes yet, so they're going to be a little tough, but the best part here is we're not going through 5 layers. We're only going through 2. So back and forth, same thing. Now open that hole up, drop our other needle in there. There we go. All right, push with our thread. Doing that keeps that needle from us, but also too, that gives us a little extra strength there. All right, pull that down. There we go. Okay, I'm simply going to sew all the way around, drop a knot in right where we dropped our first. All right, down to our last hole, and again, just like our welt, let's come in from under the welt, and right there, let's drop in another square knot. And again, with our knife, let's just lift our thread over the knife. There we go. Tuck down in there. All right, let's flip this around. We've done the south end. Let's do the same thing on the north end. And there's our last knot. Now, what we can do if we need to, if I really want to sink that knot down in there, I'm going to drop one of my threads down through the inside, and then from there I can pull the knot tight. That's going to draw it down in there. So let's pull that thread back out. Same as before, I'm going to run this across my knife blade, and we are going to step over and hammer down our stitch line. There we go. All right. Now, we can normally hammer down straight on our quartz, but that's for a flat edge. We've got no flat edge here. In fact, we bow here, and then we've got a circle and a circle. So let's do this. Let's take, that's just our snap anvil. On our quartz, let's put a little leather in there just to keep that safe, and I'm going to let that hang off the edge. Just any kind of a clip, C-clamps or spring clips, all will work, because we're not adding we're not hammering hard here. We're just trying to drop down our stitch line. So let's start right here, and we're going to hammer this down. Now, it's going to spread our thread. It's going to close our hole a little bit. It's going to make this look very consistent. And there we go. Okay, there is that pretty white stitch line. Very nice. Let's step over here, add some gum trag. Now, we've already slicked our edges. We've already rounded these, but let's take one more pass because you can notice now it looks just a little rough. So with the gum trag, this is a little bit thick. We can add that with a dauber. What I prefer to do though is with my rag, take that, there we go, and just rub that along my edge. Plus it gives you the opportunity to make that a little more consistent. Now, it's going to darken the edge, that's no issue. It is going to dry back out. All right, let's wipe off our excess. And then slick. Now, we're not going to get our slicker down in here. In fact, we're going to go with the Coca-Cola. So, we're rounded. That's okay. All I can do now is rub on the outside and across that top. That's going to give me a good slick across there. And there we go. Okay, that's darkened our edge. Looks really good. That's going to lighten a little bit as it dries. But now we're starting to get that good rounded slick on there. So I'm going to finish right here. Going to do this outside edge and then work our bottom. All right, there we go. Back, look at that. Nice gloss, top, bottom, and outside edge. Very good. All right, the time we've been waiting for. Let's jump back to our quartz and put this together. Now, first step, let's secure our belt loop and our snap strap. And we'll be using that again here very shortly, so we'll keep that close at hand. Now, just leathercraft cement, that's all I need, because I don't want to weld these in forever if I ever have to replace this strap, but I do need to tack these in there. So I'm going to just drop a little bit of glue in the throat of each Chicago screw. All right. Now, this is going to look odd, But let's take our snap strap, drop that in. There we go. So that's going to come around, top grain out, all right? This is what looks odd because I'm going to drop this in actually what appears to be upside down. So let's take a screw and I'm going to drop this in and I'm going to do the same for the other screw hole. All right, there we go, both tight, good. That's what we're looking for, a little tighter there. All right, now let's bend this over and come in from the front side with our last screw. There we go. Okay, those feel good and secure down in there. All right, so let's drop our gun in our holster. And we're going to bring our strap around. Let's bring it snug. And I'm going to mark it right on the center of my snap. All right. So remove our firearm. Come back over and punch a hole right in the middle of that strap. There we go. Okay, let's jump over to our anvil. We're using a line 24 snap. Now again on these, size specific, so make sure you've got the right setter. I'm going to take my cap. Now obviously that's going to come through the front side. Easy enough. Drop that in my anvil. Now let's take our other piece, female with the flange on the outside. I'm going to drop my setter right in there. 2 good shots and that is set. You notice it's rolling a little bit. Let's go one more. There we go. Up. Let's get one more good one in there. It's a good snap. It's good steel. There we go. Okay, so we'll be able to bend that over, set it. Nice. Let's move that. Now, with our end punch, we're going to come back over here. Let's add a little distance there. We need a little length from the snap to the end as a tab. So let's come out, pop that. All right. Now, probably a little bit naked there. I've got a little gum trag left over. So let's drop that on that end, darken that a little bit. There we go. Well, let's add just a dab more. There we are. Okay, that's darkening that nicely. Well, let's take a look at this. Well, how perfect, clean, and tight is that? That is a good-looking holster. Well, I'm happy to say I could not be happier with the outcome. We have done a great job on our holster. Now, a couple of big points though. First off, not a perfect holster. Well, it's handmade right off the bat. But secondly, once we get the feel of making a holster, if you want to cut that welt to perfectly match the bottom contour of the gun, you can do it. If you want to spend some more time on that welt edge, absolutely. Take that ball and run with it. But the biggest point here, did you have a great time doing it? And does it look good to you? That is all that matters. I hope every holster you make is gorgeous. Good luck with your projects.